Welcome to New York Got Game.
Welcome back to another edition of New York Got Game. Exciting times in New York basketball. The New York Liberty won their first title in the franchise's history. We're going to have more on that later. The Knicks, they have played a couple of games. Basketball is back in New York. Got a special guest with me today to talk all about that. And we're going to get right into it right now.
The Knicks are heating up.
We're just 2 games into the New York Knicks season, and it's already been an up and down ride. So we're going to talk some Knicks basketball. And we're going to do it with one of my favorite rappers and lyricists. He's a fellow Brooklynite. He's a huge Knicks fan who's at the home opener. He's got a new album dropping next month that I'm really excited about. It's the one and only Skyzoo. Sky, what's going on, man?
Yo, what's up, bro?
Good. How I'm doing? How you been?
Good, man. Everything is smooth.
Yeah?
Beautiful times right now with where we are. It's early in the season, but we know what we're looking forward to, so.
I like that because we'll get into this because some Knicks fans, they were jumping off the building, if you want to say, with what we saw in Boston. We'll get to that in a second, but you're feeling good about this Knicks season. I want to get into that with you because there's been so much talk about this Knicks season, right?
Yeah.
The most anticipated Knicks season in, I don't know, 2 decades. It's been a long time since Knicks fans felt this good about it. As a longtime fan of the Knicks, what was your level of anticipation for this season, and also what were your expectations for the Knicks heading into this season?
Through the roof for both. You know, seeing the trade happen over the summer, well, actually the trade with Mikal.
Yeah.
And seeing all that come together, that was the first thing where you're like, yo, here we go, right? Like Infinity Stones, you know, like here we go. We're here. We got the one. You know, it was the one piece everybody wanted is Jalen's friend and Josh Hart and Devo and everything like that. And that went crazy. And then the summer goes on, and right before, obviously, we see everything with Cat. And it's bittersweet because superstar, right? Superstar as far as Karl-Anthony Towns and what he's able to do, and something we haven't had at that position with the Knicks since Pat, you know, without a doubt. So everything that he brings to the table, but then losing Devo, you wonder, is there a way to do that without Randall? And, of course, that's pie in the sky because there was no way. So, you got to give up some stuff. And, we just hope that things go the way that we are predicting. But expectations should be through the roof because this is now a roster that can contend. And I think the best thing about it is seeing, I guess, the quote-unquote talking heads who are outside of the city, right, who aren't you. They're outside and they're not part of our fabric, to finally admit, I think they got something. I think the Knicks are a real threat. I think they're a real contender. We haven't heard that type of talk in I don't know how long. So it's dope to see that.
It's been a minute.
Oh,
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
I said 2 decades because, you could probably, if you're talking about it, you could legit go back to 99, maybe before the 99 season, that this was actually a team you looked at and said, okay, they can win it.
Yeah.
And you're right. That talk is now there outside of New York, right? Like outside of the people that cover this team that are here in this city, that talk is there.
Yeah.
Does that, because some Knicks fans have said this to me, well, Dex, that makes me a little bit nervous because now there's expectations, I would think. Yeah. But this is what you want.
Absolutely.
You want that, right?
Absolutely, without a doubt. With the expectations are going to come other teams now really zeroing in on a scouting report, now looking at us and saying, okay, we got to take them serious tonight. Whereas maybe a decade and a half ago or whatever, they may have looked like it was a night to take off. And maybe you can take advantage of that or whatever, but now they're coming for us, they're gunning for us because the Knicks are going to be gunning for us, so we got to return a favor. So, with us, you look at the roster we have, and like you said, it's warranted, and it's expected, and you want to be taken seriously. And we now have a team where it's like, every box is checked off. They're here, and getting that respect, even as a fan on the outside looking in, seeing those talking heads, seeing those other teams, seeing those other coaches and rosters and personnel look at us and say, we got to respect them for real, and we kind of also got to fear them. We haven't been able to feel that way since 94, 95, so it's dope to see that.
Hey, you went even further back. You're right.
Oh, yeah. I've been there, man,
You have been there. I want to go back a little bit back into the offseason because you mentioned some of the moves here, right? Yeah. When the Knicks traded for Mikal Bridges right before the draft, I don't think I had talked to you. I don't think I texted you about that move, but I thought it was a good move. And I said, I think even on this show and some other people, I thought he was a guy that they should go after. I thought he would fit right into the fabric of 100%. What they were doing. What was your feeling initially when that trade went down for Mikal Bridges?
Verbatim, same thing. I remember, using that meme of from Goodfellas when Henry is in the shower and he's like, Jimmy, you did it. And I'm looking at Leon like, oh, you did it, you did it. You know, like it was that last piece. It was like, wow. And it was the one piece no one ever thought would happen because it's the Nets. And I don't think a trade between the Knicks and Nets had happened in forever, in decades, they said. Maybe since
83.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, wow. The unthinkable happened. Like Leon pulled that up, you know. So just seeing all that come to fruition, knowing he wanted to be here, knowing his buddies was here, knowing he wanted to really play significant basketball, knowing he wanted to get back to his role as somebody who does get busy, can get busy off the rip, but doesn't have to be the one driving the car. He can be in the passenger seat. He could be sitting in the back seat behind the driver, whatever it is, and then really take advantage of those moments like he did in Phoenix. And I think that's beautiful to have that type of setup for him.
The thing is, I didn't think it was going to happen.
Me either.
I had spoken to some people.
Okay.
I never reported. I taught some people with the Knicks and Nets who was like, nah.
Right.
Interest is there,
Yeah.
but this isn't going to go down.
Yeah, in that scenario, with the rivals cross town, cross the bridge, that how do you see
this
that?
is not going to happen.
It's
Right.
interdivision. It's not even interdivision. It's in the city.
Right.
Like, why would we help y'all to get great? You know, so you got to look at it like that. So just going back to your point, you never would. I definitely was like, nah, that's probably not happening, and it happened.
And it happened. It was a shock. I have to say that's one of the more shocking trades I've seen in my career, at least happen in New York between two New York teams. Now, you also mentioned this before the start of training camp. While we probably thought, I think a lot of Knicks fans and people in the media was like, okay, this is going to be the Knicks roster.
Right.
It was not. The Knicks trade for Karl-Anthony Towns. And I texted you right after that.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know, Scott. I don't know if I'm really feeling this. And both of us kind of felt the same way. So I know where you were then. Take the people to where you were then and where are you now on the Karl-Anthony Towns trade and his fit with the Knicks?
I think it's going to work in the sense of what he does. He's a superstar in my eyes. I think the only center to ever win the three-point contest, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong, Knicks Twitter, I apologize. Or NBA Twitter, I apologize. But, I think what he does, the intangibles, the things that he brings to the table, you really have to respect the threat that he is from 30 out, et cetera, et cetera. You have to respect that. Giving up what we gave up, really the Devo element was the part that tugged on everybody's heartstrings, me in particular. My son Miles is a huge Devo fan, and I had to explain to him the next day when he woke up, like, Devo's in Minnesota now, and he just said, why? And I had to really explain. He said, but why did they do that? He's 6, so I had to explain, Miles, this is what happened, buddy. Boom, boom. So now he's like, all right. He's still a giant Knicks fan like me. It's a Knicks house, but, losing Devo, the sentiments he felt are the same that I felt, and you felt, like all of us in the city. Devo was a certain fabric, right? He just felt like a Knick. He felt like a 94, 95, 96 Knick. And having his best friends, his buddies, Jalen and Josh and everybody there, and then seeing him bring his other buddy, Mikal, it was like, yeah, this couldn't get any more perfect. Like, we're ready, So, but at the same time, Cat is amazing. Cat's a superstar. Like I said, we haven't had anybody at that position to be able to do what he does since Pat, and it's amazing to have that. So now it feels like it's all in. Leon came in to do certain things. He checked off those boxes. He had a plan. Him and World Wide West, they implemented it. They put it together. It happened. The tree grew, and it's blooming, and let's see where it goes.
I'm so intrigued to see where it goes, Scott.
Yeah.
Do you have any concerns about Cat? Because one of my concerns is, and I've said this before, I've talked about this on the show, there's a narrative that Cat is soft. I do not agree with that narrative. I don't think that's the case. I think my concern has always been, is he going to make silly fouls in the wrong times? Because we've seen that before with him in the playoffs. Right. Do you have any concern? Do you think he fits like a glove? Is it a concern on defense? I don't think it's offense from you, from what I'm hearing.
No, not at all.
Offense is where you feel like he's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any concerns with him and his fit here with the Knicks at all?
Not with his fit at all, no. I think, what I think is the best thing about what he does outside of the offensive game, outside of how strong he is, and I keep using the word superstar with him because I think he deserves it, and I don't know if a lot of other people do, but I'm going to continue to do it anyway. I do think he is a bona fide superstar. I think the best thing that he does is he has no problem fitting his role. When you bring a guy who's a superstar, top 5, top 10 at his position and all that, and you bring him to a new team or anywhere, you bring him where there's a superstar already in Jalen Brunson, you would think there could be issues. There could be alpha stuff. There could be all of that. I already don't see it. I see a guy with Cat who understands who Jalen is. He even said it on postgame last night. We're just honored to be playing with Cap. So even the way he speaks is already in line with all of that. And I think the best thing about what he's going to bring is the unselfishness and knowing it's cool. It's Jalen's night tonight. It's cool. Like, even last night, he had 20-plus and 10-plus rebounds. I didn't even realize it, and I was at the game, and I saw him, and I'm going crazy every time he did something. I'm screaming out, Bodega, that's my son, the Bodega, but I still didn't realize he had like 24 and 12 because it was quiet. They didn't run anything really through him, and that's beautiful because you can have a situation where you bring a superstar in with a Jalen who's a superstar for us in the city, and they start bumping heads. Well, I'm used to this. I'm used to that. I'm used to being the man. With Cat, him being the man in Minnesota for almost a decade, the fact that he can just come in, no ego, and you can see it, just play the bat. They played 2 games, but I knew the type of personality he would have just watching basketball over the years. No ego, coming in, stepping back, knowing he's going to get his 20 and 10 a night,
right?
But no, I don't have to do everything. I know they're going to run a lot of this through Jalen. I know it's his team, and I'm just here to be the best component and the best, 1A that I can be to the 1. That's the underrated part of the trade.
I think that's a great point. I don't think enough people are talking about
at
that.
all.
And in the game against the Pacers, after the game against the Pacers, you were talking about home opener Friday night. I was in the locker room, and that was my first time in the locker room this season, obviously. But you get that sense that he knows where he's at with the team,
100%.
right, Sky?
Yep.
Like he understands this is Jalen Brunson's team. And I also want to say that I think when Sky's saying that, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think Jalen Brunson's not like, hey, this is my team. I'm the guy that takes all the shots.
The city's saying it.
Right, but I think he's the kind of leader
right.
that understands to empower everybody in the positions they need to be in.
Exactly.
But to your point, it takes someone like Cat at his talent to say, okay, this is where I fit in. Right. And there's value in that.
100%.
I think there's value in that.
Because you could bring somebody who does what Cat does. You could bring a superstar, even if it's at a different position. You could bring a superstar in, and just to reiterate, you could bring them in and, well, I came from such and such team. I'm used to this. I'm the number 1 selling jersey on the team. I'm the face on the ticket every night. I'm the face when you walk in the arena. I'm the one who gets 30 and 10 a night, 25 and 10. I'm who the ball goes through. That changes now. There could be some headbutting. I don't see any of that happening with Cat, and I think it's a testament to his personality, the way he came up as a player, the way he was raised and came up in his household, and I think all of that is going to play into the seamless fit of who he is on this Knicks team with Jalen Brunson and the rest of the squad, and it doesn't take anything away from his game. I think it enhances it. That's the most important part of the trade, and it being him and him coming to us and being a part of the squad now. That's the part, like you said, the underrated part that no one is noticing that's going to pay the most dividends at the end of the day if and when we win this all.
I think it's a good point. In the conversations I've had about Cat with anybody on the show, any of the content I do, nobody's really brought that up. I mean, people have talked about the offensive fit, how he's good and all that, but I do think the seamless unselfishness, as you said, matters a ton. Last thing I got to ask you about Cat.
Yeah.
Where are you on the nickname? Do you like Bodega Cat?
Bodega.
Okay, we're with Bodega. I'm team Bodega too.
Yeah, I don't like the big purr. I don't like the purr thing. You know what I mean?
Nah, I'm not with that.
I don't like that at all because it's just not. It's not what we need to be. Bodega. I was in the crowd shouting, "Yeah, Bodega! Yeah, my man Bodega Cat!" Like Bodega is it?
I'm Bodega Cat. I'm with
that's
it. That's the official nickname.
Let's line that up.
Don't need to do anything else. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so. It's a small sample size right now, very, very small sample size. 2 games that the Knicks have played, 1-1 on the season.
Yeah.
How are you feeling after what I've been calling the Boston 3 party in the season opening loss?
Right.
And do you think there's a huge gap between the Knicks and the Celtics right now?
I don't think there's a huge gap. I think the gap was a little closer last year. The gap was a little smaller. Now the gap has gained some space and some room, but not as much as people may be afraid of and jumping out the window, like you said, and some of our fellow Knicks Twitter brethren. But, Boston is for real, definitely, without a doubt, but we're for real, too. My thing with the team is we did take a hit as far as depth, as far as the bench, between Hartenstein and Mitchell and Devo and, Randall, just all these different pieces that we can interchange. But the starting lineup is vicious, as we've seen. The starting lineup is A1. And the other reason why the gap has widened is confidence. Confidence is everything. And Boston's confidence is through the roof right now. That's why we saw what happened the other night. They have been trying to get over that hump forever with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. The fact that they did it, you're playing with house money now. Whether you win or lose, we're good. We did it. On an individual level, you look at Tatum, you look at Brown, you look at all those guys, even KP, you're like, we did it. The shadow is off us. The monkey's off our back. So now It's house money. So now you're playing more free. You're flowing a different way. And then on opening night, ring night, and you're looking at that ring with 200 and something diamonds or whatever's in it and opening the banner, there was no way they wasn't going to go ballistic. And that's what they did. And that's cool, but we will see them again in a few months, and we'll have that cloud hanging over us. And hopefully the agenda with the team and the personality of the team is that Jalen Brunson meme where he has the black hoodie on and he's just looking like,
you want that kind of energy
100%.
when they see him again, because February is the next time the Knicks play the Celtics. I think it's a good thing that there's a gap in that time of playing them, especially after what happened
absolutely.
opening night. I think it's a good thing there's a gap. Now, I was at the Knicks Fan TV watch party to watch that game. I was with CP and the guys watching the game.
Shout out to our man CP.
And shout out to all the Knicks fans that were there.
Absolutely.
There's some Knicks fans coming up to Dex, this doesn't look good. Oh, we can't defend the three. Oh, it looks so bad. They didn't even have KP, and they killed the Knicks. And I said to some of them, got to pump the brakes.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah.
Can't go crazy. I'm with you on the energy you saw from them. And I think your assessment of Boston is right.
Yeah.
This is a team, like you said, confidence.
Through the roof.
Champions, some of the players feel slighted because Tatum and Brown didn't get a lot of time on the Olympic team.
Right.
But I think the Knicks, their goal is that you want them to rise to that level and try to get to match them where they are.
Right.
That's not all done in opening night.
Yeah, first night, opening night, Precious was down, a couple players. So, there's all these little elements. And, again, opening night, nerves are jumping. And on the other side of the court, they just put up a banner. They got their ring. That cloud is finally off of them. It's house money. It's free phone. Yeah, they want another ring. They want 10 more rings. But it's house money at this point because they did it. So I knew, of course, I wanted us to get that. I wanted us to disrupt opening night and tear that Tea Party 3-party up, that Boston Tea Party and the threes. But I had a feeling I didn't think it would go as wild as it did, but I figured it would get a little wild. I was like, they have a very good chance of really getting busy tonight because of what they're in the middle of, raising that banner. It's to be expected. And hopefully next year, we're that team. And it's like we just put that banner, that blue and orange banner in the sky. Jalen, everybody got their rings. Now it's a different time. Hopefully next year that's our story.
That is the hope for Knicks fans. They want to see that blue and orange banner going up. Now, you were in the building for the next game. You were here for the home opener. What did you like about what you saw from the Knicks against the Pacers in contrast to what you saw from them against the Celtics?
They went, looked at the tape, did everything they had to do and said, okay, this is where we go from here. You're not stuck in the past. You're dealing with the future. And this is what we did. These are some of the mistakes we made. This is where we need to go. And they proved it. And the team we saw in that home opener is the team that we were hoping for when this trade went down and that trade went down and all these different things happened over the summer. This is it. When you're seeing 4 of your starting 5 score 20+, when you're seeing defensive lockdowns, when you're seeing transitions and the ball moving and you're seeing – and it still looks like Cat is figuring his way out with the team, with the flow, with the court. It seems so when that happens, and like going back to your point about that gap between when we played the Celtics and when we played them again, you're talking about 3-4 months of gelling, of playing together, of getting to know one another as far as where we are on the court, where we need the ball, where we need to be at. The sky's the limit. And it's an amazing thing, and I'm ready for it. Opening night was insane, and shout out to my man Benji who
shout out to
Benji.
Benji.
Absolutely, and opening night was insane, man, and it's a beautiful time for us.
Yeah, it was good to see opening night. I was obviously there too, and then talking to the players after.
Yeah.
Josh Hart was talking about this, and he kind of said before, like, look, Boston shot the ball crazy.
Yeah, there was no way.
They were just lights out, right?
Yeah.
And he said, look, we're going to adjust. And you even saw Jalen Brunson say after that game, he said, this is on me. Now, do I think it really was on Jalen Brunson? No.
But that's the type of talk you want to hear from your leader,
absolutely,
your captain.
Absolutely agree. And he's somebody who I think when he says that means that I'm going to lead to find a way to figure this out for
100%.
us, right? And I need to hold my teammates accountable, which is, I think, what Knicks fans should like to see.
Yeah.
But you saw the effort on defense. You saw them locked in. You saw the ball moving well. Some people were concerned about Mikal Bridges' shot.
He knocked that all out. Yeah, he got rid of that.
Fine.
Yeah,
he looked fine, right?
Right, absolutely.
He looked totally fine. Now, you mentioned to me depth before, and I wanted to ask you: do you have one major concern about this Knicks squad? Is it depth? And if you do have one, maybe it's something else.
Yeah.
If it's something else, what's the one major concern you have that you think they can improve upon this season? And just tell me, what is that concern that you have right now that you think can change or they can improve upon as we go throughout the season?
I think about the bench and when that second unit comes in, and I think about the scoring load, and right now it looks like everything's going to be on McBride, on Deuce, who's been, I mean, he had the summer of life, you know, and I love McBride. What he's doing right now, it feels like he's shooting 100% from the field over 2 games. So he had the summer of a lifetime. So shout to him and his trainer and everybody that continue to help him and elevate him and you know, get his game to continue to grow. But to have to put all of that on his shoulders off the bench as that second unit, the first one off the second unit, that is a lot. And that is kind of my concern. Can we get someone else to help along with McBride? Because I do believe in his offensive game, definitely his defensive game. I mean, that's why he stays on the court. But can we get someone else to help? I don't want it to be McBride or nothing off the bench throughout the season and the playoffs. So if there was any concern, it would be that. Just shoring up the bench a little bit more. Now, I don't know how, because I feel like the bank is empty. Between the Mikal trade, the Cat trade, I feel like the bank might be empty. I don't know how that can happen without losing more core pieces. But if there were a way to shore up, you know, I think I read something that said by November 5th, the Knicks have to add 2 more players by league standards. Hopefully there's a Lonnie Walker and Matt Ryan or something like that that can happen. And we say, oh, okay, there we go. Lonnie Walker's a legit scorer. Matt Ryan shot 45% from 3 last year. There we go. Something like that.
I think you can see those moves. You know, I was talking with Ian Begley about this last night at the home opener. He told me, look, it's a good possibility that Shamet is back with the team. Landry Shamet.
Another one. That was going to be for real until he hurt his shoulder. Yeah.
And the Knicks look like they're going to get the top 2 picks in the G League draft to take Matt Ryan and Landry Shamet and have those guys in with Westchester so they can then bring them up. So that's something for fans to keep an eye on. So depth is a concern for you.
A little bit.
But a little bit. You mentioned with McBride, I kind of want to follow up with that because I was just thinking about this with McBride. In all your years of being a Knicks fan, have you ever seen a guy's development in terms of shooting?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
The thing with McBride coming out of college, out of West Virginia, was the shot.
Right.
Now
it's insane.
It feels kind of automatic, right?
Yeah, I don't know what happened over the summer, but it happened, and it's beautiful to see. Like I said, shout to him and his trainer and his work ethic, and everyone that got busy over the summer. He took advantage. Definitely took advantage.
Yeah, I'm not sure I've seen that great of an improvement, and it's a good thing.
I love it.
And you have that value as a Knicks fan that he's improved so well in that. But you're right. You don't want to see so much of the burden on him with that second unit. And obviously, Precious Achiuwa will come back, and that'll help some as well, too.
Right.
So we'll see how all that plays out. But when you look at this Knicks schedule to start, 7 of the first 10 games this season are against playoff teams. So what are you keeping your eye on with this squad as they try to navigate what's a tough schedule to start the season?
Composure. You know, them keeping their composure, knowing what you just said. 7 of the first 10 are playoff teams. A team like Indiana who broke our heart last year. We did what we had to do. We kept Halliburton at a donut. Like, literally. He scored nothing last night. Hype, excited, pregame, bouncing off. Yeah, okay. We could quiet all that down now, you know. So that type of composure, and it still felt like at times with the home opener that they still were figuring things out. So it's only upwards from here. You know, it's like, wow, they did that. 4 to 5 starters were in the 20s, not even double digits, but in the 20s apiece. Beat the brakes off of them, for lack of a better term, and now they still were figuring it out. There still were moments where it seemed slightly sloppy and everything. So now it can only go forward from here, and it's a beautiful thing. I think if they can keep their composure, know who they are, know what they all signed up to be with this new roster, with the trades, and said, this is the team. For everyone watching, everyone is signed up for 4+ years on this roster right now as far as the starters. You know, you look at OG's contract, the contract that Cat came in, the contract that Mikal is going to get, Jalen, Hart. This is the squad. This is the team, especially the starting lineup. So if they can continue to just buy in like we know they will, I think it all makes sense. And it's going to be super exciting, these first 10 games and everything after that.
I like that. I like that word, composure. It's so important when you have a new team and they're trying to develop and build where they are. Composure is extremely important.
Absolutely.
So you gotta like that. All right, we're gonna move over to music for a little bit. You know I like to talk hip hop. You know I'm a hip hop head.
Yeah.
You just announced the release date for your new albums titled Keep Me Company.
Yeah.
I love the album cover, okay?
Thank you.
Now, when it comes to you, and we've known each other for a little bit and we always talk about your albums, when it comes to your projects, you always have a theme that's there. You always are going to have that. So talk to me about the concept behind this album and also the album cover. I want to hear the whole thing. What's the concept behind the album cover?
Yeah.
Talk to me about it.
Keep me company. November 29th, Black Friday. Day after Thanksgiving. Eat good, football, midnight, go online, grab the album, listen to it while you go buy your big TVs and all that on Friday. But, it's an album about growth. And that's the concept behind it, and with the title, Keep Me Company. I feel like in the music, we may look at what's going on in the current landscape and feel removed from it, because we may say, hey, we're used to things this way. We're used to this type of sound, these type of morals, something you and I spoke about off air a few minutes ago. Yeah. Something, where it's like, this is how we grew up. This is what we believe in. These are the morals of how you do things the right way, whether it's music, whether it's in life, outside of that, whatever it may be, and you feel like you may be on the outside, so you feel alone. And then you find out that there are other people that are like-minded. You and I have conversations like, oh, you feel the same way? I feel that way too. Well, keep me company. It's like if I'm at a restaurant with a group of people and I find out that you're on the same type of time, I say, oh, man, come over here and have a seat. Man, come keep me company, because I've been looking for people who feel the same way about life, about music, about where things are, about growth and development and just being more than what you were. I thought I was alone. I'm not alone. Well, come over here and keep me company, because you thought you were alone too. You're not alone either. Man, come keep me company. And that's what it's about. So it's an album about growth, if I had to sum it up in one word.
I love that, because I love that around hip hop. I'm taking that in as you said that, because growth is something we need in hip hop, and you and I have had conversations about this, and we are the same age. So I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
Through hip hop, as we've sort of grown up with it, right? And you obviously being part of it as an artist.
Yeah.
Was the inspiration because there were times where you felt alone in your thoughts?
Absolutely.
As you were growing with the genre
Especially
that's now 50
lately.
plus years old? Okay, so talk to me about that
Especially lately. Listening to hip hop and seeing where things are at now, and not being the guy on the lawn and on the porch and get off my lawn, because I'm not that old. Like I'm not there yet.
Not that guy yet.
Right, I'm not there yet. But just knowing where things are and seeing the morals of those contributing to the culture, contributing to the sport of hip hop. And then even outside of it, I have a line on there where I said, my white tees went from a 2X to a large. The sizes in between them all was left in the park. So that's I think that's the opening line on the second record. So the album kind of starts with that type of energy and that type of mode, So feeling like you may be alone in this stage of your life in growth. And you don't have to make music to relate to it, just outside of life, And then you're like, wait a minute, I'm not alone. I thought I was alone, and it was bothering me and worrying me that I'm growing in a certain direction, and maybe those around me, my friends, my peers, the people who I've been with from day one, maybe they're not growing in the same way, or maybe I'm wrong for looking at things a different way now. And then you realize that there are other people like you, and you're like, you're like me too. Come keep me company. And that's what it comes down to.
What I find interesting about that, and knowing you well, too, as I've known for a little bit, and having listened to your music before I even knew you, is that I always felt you stayed true to the core principles of what you've liked in your music, right?
Always.
And what's kind of connected me as a listener before I knew you was like, oh man, Sky likes, we're both from Brooklyn. Sky likes jazz. We're both big fans of The Wire. Grew up Knicks fans.
Yeah.
We have this in common, but I've seen you keep it through your music and keep it authentic with that. And I think I've talked to you about this before on other platforms, but have you ever felt the pressure to change your sound? And if you did feel that pressure, how was it a case of people keeping you company that kept you grounded in that to say, no, I'm going to stay here what I like, because other people rock with this too?
Right. Thankfully, no, I've never felt that pressure. I've seen that pressure and never had to feel it or indulge in it or anything like that, because I've always been someone who was raised to stand on what they stand on. Being from Brooklyn, growing up the way I did, growing up with the parents that I did, with the OGs, quote unquote, around me, I've never felt that to give into that pressure, because it's the same morals and values in the music as outside of the music. I never felt the pressure to move a certain way outside of that as a kid growing up, whatever it may have been, regardless of what was going on around me. I never felt any pressure to give in and succumb to that or be that or adapt or anything. So the way I'm going to play it in the music is the same way I would play it outside of the music. I'm always going to stand on who I am. I'm always going to be on my square. I'm always going to be who I am regardless, and go from there and navigate through there. So never at all. Now, it's there. You see it, man, if I do this, I could go here. Maybe I should make this type of record. Maybe I should go in this direction. Maybe this is what's hot right now. No, it's not about what's hot right now. It's about the fact that we can go back and listen to Kinda Blue, or listen to The Gigolo, or listen to a song from my father, or whatever it is, 40, 50, 60 years later. So as artists, we want people to look back at our art the same way we look at that art. And I named those jazz albums, The Love Supreme and all that stuff, for a reason. We look back at that stuff. We don't look at it as what was hot at the time. We say, this is artwork that lasted forever. This is classic.
Timeless music.
So exactly.
Right.
So we want to do that same thing here. It's the same for me in my field, and you in your field, and everything that you're doing for journalism and sports. We want people to look at you the way they looked at other individuals in the platform before you, and that legacy continue on. So for me, it's not about what's hot at the moment. It's about what's going to last. Because so much stuff was hot at the moment 2 years ago that we don't even remember what that temperature was like now.
That's a really good point. The album cover, right? Inside of a laundromat, you're looking at this washing machine. Great photo. Who took the photo?
My man Valentine. Shout out to Valentine from Queens. He took that. He's an excellent photographer. He did a couple photos for different album covers of mine over the years.
So I looked at that, and now I'm thinking about that in the context of what you explained the title to me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this. I hate going to laundromats. I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore. I always hated going to laundromat. But when you're at a laundromat, you know what you need? Some company.
Right.
Or some music. You need that.
Right.
Am I reaching there, or is that part of the thought with the album cover?
So the idea behind the cover, he sent me a bunch of different pictures. We spoke about what I was looking for with the cover, and, he took different things in different spots. It wasn't just the laundromat. There was some totally other random elements of New York that he took pictures in. But that one got me, and I was like, yeah, the idea behind this is kind of cleaning things up, cleaning up the music, cleaning up the game, and like you said, feeling alone and needing company, and that being a space, like you said, where you need company. But the first thing with it when I saw it was like, it feels like I'm cleaning up things, cleaning up the game and growing and all of that type of stuff. And that kind of was a reflection and a symbol of all of that. So as different as it may be for a hip hop cover, I was like, yeah, that's it. I don't know if anyone ever did a cover where they had a laundromat. Maybe they have. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the first, but if they did or didn't, that was very unique in a sense, and kind of I don't want to say a risk, but a little different. No, and I was like, yeah, let's do that one. That's the one right there.
I like it, and I hadn't even thought about the Cleaning Up the Game album, but aspect. I do like that. I like the concept behind that. Anything we can also expect lasting on the album? Features?
Oh man, not a lot of features at all, but one feature that I am extremely excited and happy about.
We're gonna keep that one quiet.
No, I'll let you. I got a record called Courtesy Call with the one and only Chuck D.
Oh.
And
Friend of the program. Friend of the program,
Big bro. Okay. I just was talking to him a lot yesterday. Huge Knicks fan.
Yep.
Icon in the game. Most iconic booming voice ever.
Absolutely.
We got a record on the Courtesy Call is a monster, and I'm very, very excited about that record and the people hearing that and letting that record go.
This is beautiful. This is the second artist that's been up here that's had a record with Chuck D. Shout out to my man Nabate Isles, trumpeter, who had Chuck on his album that was up here, and you did too. That's a great feature. I can't wait to hear that. And there's going to be a lot of blue and orange energy on that. So we know that there. Speaking of blue and orange, you dropped Blue and Orange Everything. That was before the 2023 playoff run, right?
It was like April 23.
April 2023, which I feel is the new Knicks anthem. Me personally, I feel like it's the new Knicks anthem.
Yeah.
What do we have to do to get that track played at the Garden?
Man.
I want to hear it when I'm at the Garden. I know there's other fans out there that agree with me. I know there's a lot of people that love hip-hop that agree with me. I want to hear it at the Garden. What's good? What do we have to do, Scott, to get that? I
agree. You in the Garden a little bit more than me. So.
It's on me now?
No. It might be on you before me. But, I made the record, just feeling like we needed something for us that was of this generation, and the record is a flip and a remake of Go New York Go from Jesse Itzler. And when I did it, I said, it was an idea I had for a little while, but it wasn't something I jumped right into. I said, man, at some point I want to do something where I reinterpret that record. And then for whatever reason, I said, you know what? Now's the time to do that. And I put the record together. Shout out to my man Mark Infinite, who did the beat. I put the record together, and I just dropped it, and everyone went ballistic. Knicks Twitter, Knicks fandom, everyone went ballistic and was like, this is incredible. Shout to Alan Hahn, who has been a huge supporter of the record. Man, when it dropped, he played it after every win in the playoffs on his platform. On his show. He played it after every win in the playoffs. Shout to Knicks Fan TV, my bro CP. He's made it the Knicks Fan TV theme song. So now when you watch Knicks Fan TV, the intro and the outro of the show, he plays Blue and Orange, everything. My man Anthony Donahue and everybody who's just been supporting the record so much. It's funny, I was out at the opening and everybody at the game and afterwards at the local pubs and everything was, man, that Blue and Orange everything, Skyzoo, that Blue and Orange everything, that's our song, man.
That's what I'm saying. People love the record. I get that same energy,
Jesse Itzler reached out and was like, man, you absolutely killed it. You did a phenomenal job on the remake of that, man. And just bringing that energy of it, but making it nowadays and making it lyrical and the double entendres and shouting out the city and the energy of who we are and everything. I just felt like we needed an anthem, but we're never going to take away the OG anthem because that is the anthem. So how do we bring two worlds together? And that was me reinterpreting that and using the Go New York Go parts and everything in the record. I would love to have it at the Garden. I would love to perform it at halftime or opening. My dream with it was to have it kind of replace the the Swiss Beats record that we've had for about 15 years now in the opening lineups. And that is no knock to the record because that served us
that record too.
15 years. So I said, you know what, if it can do that, when I say replace, I mean that. If it could be what you hear when Mike Krzyzewski is bringing out the squad. That was always my goal with it, to make it be that part of the game every night. But whatever we can get out of it as far as it being in the building and being a part of the building, since it comes from the building, right? Because Die Hard Blue and Orange, it comes from the building. So whatever we can do to make it be a part of that, I'm all ears and all eyes, and I'm ready to roll.
Hey, the message is out there. I don't know who needs to hear it, how this needs to happen. You know I love the song. I told you about that when you came on to talk to me after you dropped it. But I think it just needs to be in the Garden. I'm kind of with you on that, right? Like the player intros. It feels like it's missing. And I thought what you did on the record, obviously doing an amazing job lyrically, but what Mark Infinite did, producing it and just doing a great job there too, it just captured that energy. And we need that with the intros. The fans need it. Because look, anytime I post, I was thinking about it during the playoff run last year. Anytime I post something to my stories and it would be about the Knicks, I was like, all right, always got to put Sky's song in the post. I'm always was putting the song in the post. Yeah, CP's showing it love. Everybody's showing it love. I like that. We just need it in the Garden full time.
It's funny, you know, anytime the Knicks post anything on social media with music, fans, people who I don't even know, they all start tagging me. They go, y'all need to use the Skyzoo record. It's right there. You know, like they always, you know, whoever's running the Knicks social media team, I know they're seeing that.
I actually know that person. I talked to that person last night.
Okay.
I'm going to have a conversation with her.
they always, I always see it because I get tagged in it. And I always see, why aren't y'all using the Skyzoo record? The Skyzoo record is right there. You got to start using this. Like I'm like, hey, I made the plate of food. I put it on the table. Y'all got to come eat.
Got to come and eat. We're putting it out there. Look, I might be a little bit biased. I love the song, but I think it should be out there. Last thing, Sky, because I appreciate all the time you've given us.
All love.
As we said, we know it's always orange and blue vibes with you all the time. But when you look at this Knicks team, right, and I know it's very early in the season, what kind of damage do you think they could do, and what's their most anticipated season in a long time? What kind of damage can the Knicks do? Are you willing to sit here and say, because I've had some other people sit here and say, Knicks are going to win the title this year. Are you willing to say that with your chest?
I'm always going to say that if we have a realistic shot. I'm not going to say that in the years prior where we had certain rosters. I'm not going to shout names out and you know, make people feel bad if their families are watching. But when we had certain rosters in the past that just weren't up to par, I wouldn't say that because I'm a realistic Knicks fan. I'm a diehard Knicks fan, but I'm a realistic one. I'm an honest one. With the roster we have now, absolutely. I think the minimum this year should be 50 games, should be 50 wins. I think
minimum 50 wins.
That should be the minimum. I think if it's anything less than 50 wins, it could be looked at as a failure unless we were to get 40-something wins but then win the chip. But I think we have to, the benchmark has to be 50 wins. This roster's too talented. The pieces make too much sense together. It's not a bunch of players that are talented and great but don't work together. You're talking about guys who are best friends. You're talking about guys who won chips in college together. You're talking about bringing in a superstar center who shoots the three ball better than any center in the league right now. Literally, that's not, it's not exaggeration. It's what it is. And you're talking about, and I'm going to bring it up again before we go, the element of him being a quiet alpha. right? The fact that he's okay with, go ahead, Jalen, I know you got it. Go ahead, baby. I'm here. I'm here to support and do what I got to do. That is priceless because so many superstars are the opposite. And that, all of those intangibles and elements together, we have to hit at least 50 wins.
So you got 50 wins. What about in the postseason? How, in your eyes, how far do they have to go in terms of, when I say damage that they can make the season, damage in the playoffs, what do you think that they have to do for you at least to consider this a successful playoff run for the Knicks this year?
Eastern Conference Finals, without a doubt.
So
I mean, I want to win the whole thing, but I think we have got to go Eastern Conference Finals, which would have happened last year.
If they were healthy.
Exactly, 100%. 100%. I mean, we went 7 games with a broken team. Jalen Brunson was playing with one hand. Josh Hart was playing with his hand on his ribs the whole game. Like, yeah, we went all the way there. So, I think if we had a full, healthy roster, Julius, Mitchell, everybody, we would have went all the way. We could have went to the dance last year, and we could have sent Boston home to go back to their tea party and drink up. We could have went all the way, but the injury, the basketball gods and the injury gods had something different in mind, and that's fine because now here we are, superstar bodega. Let's do it.
There you go. Okay, so 50 wins, Eastern Conference Finals run.
Minimum.
Minimum. That's what you're looking. All right,
Yeah.
I gotta have you back on to check in with you before the playoffs, if not before then.
Absolutely.
Or definitely after the album drops. We gotta talk. Can't wait to hear that. Everybody, that is Skyzoo, the great lyricist out of the best borough in New York City. That is Brooklyn. Sky's new album, Keep Me Company, that is dropping Black Friday.
Black Friday.
Definitely go listen to that. Pick that up. Sky?
Yeah.
Appreciate you as always, man.
You,
anytime I get you in the studio, I'm thrilled. Anytime you're here in New York, get you, and we gotta connect some more. Are you touring this album? Is that gonna happen?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I'll be touring it. So since it drops Black Friday, the whole month of December I'll be in Europe touring, and then after the holidays, January, February, March, I'll be touring in the States. So definitely.
Beautiful time. Can't wait to hear it. Can't wait to see you on tour.
Man.
Once again, the great Skyzoo joining us to talk some Knicks and hip hop. We'll do it again, Sky.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. Great times talking about the Knicks. Wanted to talk a little bit about the New York Liberty before we get out of here. For me personally, it was a fantastic season covering this team, and I think we got to put a lot of respect on their name, what they were able to do and accomplish this year. As I mentioned earlier in the top of the show, first ever title in franchise history. And just to be able to be at the parade the other day and witness the emotion from the fans, the team, everybody who's worked behind the scenes with that franchise, you saw a lot of the joy, a lot of the emotion from the players on the stage. And this is a great Liberty team that has been building. They've had the Barclays Center rocking for the last couple of years. And now they're focused on trying to repeat. And I think this Liberty team has an excellent shot of repeating next year. It will not be easy. Teams are coming. The Aces are going to reload once again. The Lynx will be back there. The Seattle Storm are going to get better. But this Liberty team, they've got the star power. They have the experience. They've now been through it together, and they understand what it takes to win a WNBA title. So I just want to take some time to salute the New York Liberty for what they did, because it's a great accomplishment. And look, they brought a basketball title back to New York. Haven't seen one in over 4 decades. A lot of basketball fans here are hoping that the Knicks can be the next team to do it. And maybe we'll see one with the Nets down the road, but they feel like they're a little bit of a ways off. Special thanks to my guest this week on the show, my guy Skyzoo, for joining me. Also, thank you to people behind the scenes who make this show great. My director, Joe Masali, producer, Lee Insler, editor, Antonio Oliveras Nicole. For this edition of New York Got Game, I'm Dexter Henry. We'll catch you next time.
And thanks for watching New York Got Game. Boom shakalaka.